In this season of Advent, we have a chance to read the words of Mary, the mother of Jesus. Mary was just a teenager when an angel named Gabriel told her she was going to have a baby who would be the Son of God, a baby named Jesus. And Mary was afraid but filled with hope. When she found out this news, she sang a song. We'll read for us now in a version that uses inclusive language for God and our ancestors in faith.
Mary said, "My soul magnifies your greatness, O God, for you have looked with favor upon your lowly servant, and from this day forward all generations will call me blessed. For you, the Almighty, have done great things for me, and holy is your name. Your mercy reaches from age to age for those who fear you. You have shown strength with your arm. You have scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. You have brought down the mighty from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. You have filled the hungry with good things, while you have sent the rich away empty. You have helped your servant Israel, mindful of your mercy, the promise you made to our ancestors, to Sarah and Abraham and Hagar, and their descendants forever. May these words be to us our light and our life. Thanks be to God."
Thank you, Abby. It's wonderful. If you want to stay up here, and I want to invite any other children who want to help with the message for all ages, we are going to have some fun this morning. Would you like to take a prop? You can pass them around. I'll take one too. Oh, I hear the footsteps. Good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing? All right, so we're going to share these props around. I see lots of snow boots. I'm so glad you all made it here through the snow. There you go. More props, more props. Here we are. There you go. All right, a couple more over here. Oh, one for Ruby. There we go. Well, good morning, everybody. We are going to be talking about a particular word from that reading that Addie shared with us this morning. Does anyone have any idea what that word might be based on the props that you're all holding? Any ideas? Yeah? You're close, you're close. What is this thing called? A magnifying glass. So what does it do? It makes things larger, so it magnifies. We're going to be talking about that word magnify. And so magnify means to make small things bigger. It helps us notice things we might not have noticed before. And that's one of the things that we're celebrating this Advent, that God makes small things into big things, right? God magnifies things. God helps us notice the small things that might be more important than they look. So we are going to have a little adventure this morning. We are going to look for some small things that God has made big. So I want you to take your magnifying glass with you, and let's make a circle around the communion table here. Yeah, get in there. I'll sneak in back here. Make sure, come on around, make sure that you guys can see what's up here. Okay, so take a look through your magnifying glass. And what is something that you see up here that looks small but might be bigger than it looks? You see the juice. Okay, we'll start with the juice here. So the juice looks like there's nothing special about it, right? It's just juice in these little cups. But that is special juice. God does special things to it. When we come together as a church, when we bless that juice, we remember that God loves us. We remember that even when we make mistakes, God forgives us. And so God magnifies that juice with God's love. So let's take a look at the juice. Can you maybe see that the juice looks small, not too important, but maybe it's more important than it looks? Yeah. Yeah, it looks bigger, right? Right? Okay, what else do you see on this table here? You see the flowers. The flowers. So they look kind of like normal flowers, right? I mean, they're very beautiful. But there's something special about those flowers. They're not just any flowers. Every week, our flowers are given in memory or in honor of someone. And this week, Jan Snell has given these flowers because it's her granddaughter's birthday. So these aren't just regular flowers. These flowers are magnified with God's love. They're showing love for those people who are so special to Jan. So let's look through our magnifying glasses, look at those flowers. They look maybe a little bit bigger, a little more important than you thought before? Yeah. Okay, what? Yeah, go ahead, Isaac. Candle, yes, the candle. So you all have seen candles before, right? What do these candles look like to you? They look kind of normal, right? Yeah, they're tall. They are tall. And they are special. God makes these candles special. They do, yep, they have metal on them. They kind of look fancy, but what's even more important than the fact that they look fancy is that God makes them special too. So a teeny tiny spark lights the fire, right? Yeah, it looks kind of cool. And a tiny spark starts that fire, right? And then it burns and it glows. And what does a fire do? What does it create? It burns, it creates, what does it look like? Light. It creates light. What happens if you light a fire and then you all gather around it outside? What is that called?
Bonfire.
A bonfire, yeah, and it creates heat. So this tiny little spark creates light and heat. And when we're in worship together, these candles remind us of Jesus and Jesus' love. And so these are no ordinary candles. Not only do they look fancy, they also have God's love contained within them. Okay, what else do you see on this table here? You see bread. Yeah, bread and crackers. So we can look kind of close at those bread and crackers. They look pretty normal, right? In fact, you probably had more than one of these pieces of bread for breakfast this morning, right? No? Well, I definitely had more than just one teeny little square of bread for breakfast. I like to eat a big breakfast. So this bread, though, becomes a whole meal. And how does that happen? How does it become special? Yeah, so we come together and we bless the bread together in community, and each of us gets to have a piece of this bread, and together we share this special meal that doesn't just fill our bellies, but it fills our hearts and our souls with God's love, right? So let's take another look at this bread. Does it look bigger? Does it look maybe a little more important than you thought it was before? Yeah, it looks bigger, right? Yeah, it all looks bigger when we see it through our special magnifying glass. Okay, so I need a little bit of help from Kevin and Ashley. Can you guys tell me what is on that table right behind you? Yeah, okay, so let's talk about the crib first. So what is that? It doesn't look like a normal crib, does it? What is it called? Do we know? A manger. And we hear about the manger around Christmas time, but what really is a manger? Do you guys know? So Jesus used it as a crib, but actually it's a place where they put all the straw so the cows could eat in a barn. Isn't that kind of weird? Yeah, so it becomes a basket for a baby to sleep in, but originally it was just this place for cows to eat. So it looks kind of tiny, right? It looks like nothing special. It looks like just cows and horses, you are right. Yep. Yeah, it looks like nothing special, just like something in a barn. But it becomes this very special crib, right? And who will fill that very special crib? Jesus. So when you think about God, what are some words that come to mind? Maybe powerful, other words kind of like that? Do you guys want to share some words? Love, yep. Peace. Hope. Joy, yeah. Yeah. Strong, yep. Kindness, yeah. So with all those big words, you might think that God would have come to show God's love in a big, powerful way. But God decided to come in this teeny tiny baby. And what words come to mind when you think about a tiny baby? Cute. Toys, small.
A lot of work.
A lot of work. Yes, thank you for that one. Yeah, and babies are kind of helpless, right? They're a lot of work because they need a lot, right? But God decided instead of coming as like a big giant, a big powerful king, that God would come and show love as a tiny baby. Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, your baby sister is here, and your baby sister is small, right? Needs a lot of help. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, and so our final thing, so we see that the mother of Jesus is there, Mary. So back to that song that Addie so beautifully read for us. So what does Mary look like to you in that statue? Tell me some things about her.
She looks like she's praying.
She looks like she's praying, yep. She had a very strong faith. She sort of looks like a grown-up there, but did you know that Mary was actually just a teenager when she had Jesus? And she was not rich, she was very poor. So Mary looked like this kind of small person, not very important, right? But you all know how important Mary was going to be. What was Mary going to do? She was going to give birth to Jesus, and that is incredible. That is incredible. So Mary was magnified by God. Mary was taken and made bigger and more important, but also Mary magnified God. So let's remember some of those things that Mary said in her song. Mary sang, "My soul magnifies your greatness, O God." So even though Mary was scared of the big responsibility that was ahead of her, she knew that God was in it together with her. And so she sung her song. She sung God's greatness from the rooftops. She said, "Even though I am afraid, God is great." And her song that she sang is full of small things that God makes bigger too, right? Can anyone remember some of the words of that song that Addie read for us? God lifts up the lowly. Do you know what that means? Yeah, Addie, do you know?
God makes people that don't have as much power more powerful, so everyone's equal.
Exactly. So we might imagine that God would be on the side of the powerful people, but actually God is with all of us, and especially with people who have less power, to make us all equal to one another. So Mary's song reminds us that no person is small, that every person is important, right? So you may be a kid, right? You may be kind of small, but you are important. You have something important to share. Can you remember any other small things that God lifts up and makes bigger in that song? Mary also says that God fills the hungry with good things.
And leaves the rich away empty.
Yep, leaves the rich away empty. And so God takes our empty bellies and makes them full. God is on the side of people who are hungry. So that's a small thing that God makes big. And finally, Mary says in her song that God helps the people of Israel. Do you know who the people of Israel are? They were people who followed God. They're our ancestors in faith, so we can go back in the Bible all the way to the beginning and trace the people Israel who were our ancestors. And these people were not perfect in following God, and they faced a lot of challenges. They weren't the strongest people, but God took this small group of people, and made them bigger. God stuck with them through it. So we might find in our world that God makes things that we find small much bigger. So let's take one more good look at all these things on our table, and then we'll head back and sit back down on the steps to close. So let's see, we saw the candle. Look at the candle. Yeah, you see the cup of juice. You see the bread.
The teacup.
Yeah, you see the little tiny cups. You see the flowers. And finally, you see that manger that's going to have the baby Jesus in it. in just a few weeks here, and you see Mary. Okay, so let's gather up on the steps again. Thank you guys for looking so closely at all these small things. All these small things. So this Advent season, we are all going to be on the lookout for small things that God makes big. There are small things that probably happen in your life every day. Like, how often do you give a friend a hug? A lot, maybe every day? So that hug might seem like a small thing, but it's actually a way of sharing God's love. This morning, did you take a minute to stop and look at how beautiful the snow was or have fun playing in it? Or were you just rushing to get here? I know I was just rushing to get here, but that's a small thing, right? It's a thing that's so ordinary. The snow, we get it every winter, but we can stop and say, oh, that small thing, that actually shows the beauty of God's creation. I bet, too, that a lot of you are someone's small thing that actually is the most important thing. I bet you are. So this Advent season, you can carry your magnifying glass with you. Make sure you all take it with you. You can remember that God makes the small things big. And can we remember that word again? Magnify. Magnify, do we want to say it? Magnify? Magnify. So God magnifies good things. So let's be on the lookout for all those good things this season. Amen? Amen. Thank you guys so much for helping out. You guys can sit with your families and we'll continue in worship together.